would like to welcome you all to our Remembrance Day ceremony at MVHS. We are your Masters of Ceremony. My name is Gracie Newman.
And my name is Emily McAvoy. Every year we take one day to commemorate those who fought and those who fight for freedom. We devote this day to the soldiers, nurses, doctors, and many others who serve our country in times of conflict.
We wear poppies, we attend ceremonies, we visit memorials, and we remember family members who served.
Last year, our ceremony was inspired by 34 students from MVHS, along with over 100 other students from high schools throughout the Anglophone North School District, who traveled to the Normandy region of France in June 2019 to participate in ceremonies and events commemorating the 75th anniversary of D-Day.
Those students, some of whom are part of our performance, literally walked in the footsteps of the soldiers of the North Shore Regiment, retracing the regiment's hard-fought journey from Juno Beach throughout Normandy and all the way to Belgium and the Netherlands.
Many of these men were from our own community. Many of us are descendants of these men. We are here today to pay homage to those who died in the protection of the values and liberties we hold dear to our hearts today.
Today's presentation will continue last year's narrative as we commemorate the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands. We will pick up where we left off last year, taking you on a journey through Belgium and the Netherlands, and some of the fiercest fighting of the war.
Your guide will once again be Father Raymond Miles Hickey, pastor and spiritual advisor for the North Shore Regiment, who so skillfully and poetically recorded his war experiences in a book called The Scarlet Dawn.
And I'm the drunk.
Halfway through.
Yeah, I'm the drunk.
Oh, please don't take away the old North Shore. We'll need them by and by. Everybody in the old North Shore is willing to do or die. Now what I mean to say is that the old North Shore is second to the Navy on the sea. And if it wasn't for the old North Shore, where would shore and be? Have you ever heard the story of the old North Shore? If not, it's time you did. Some songs sell for 2 and 6, but this one's worth half a quid. It's been sung in every pub along the whole south coast by ATS, West and Wrens as well. Why, it's even reached our shore and we're waiting there for more. So raise your voice and yell, "Oh!" Here for about 2 years or more, no fighting have we seen. Though we came to fight for right, for honor and liberty. But soon the day will come, a second front we'll see. Our bitter foe will vanish like the dawn. And though our hearts are pining, keep the old flag flying. The North Shore carries on. There's no need to worry about the old North Shore. Her flag's still flying high. With 6 months drilling on the barrack square, morale is none too high. Well, we all love the Army, and BT is swell. Monotony will never get us down. But give us just one chance, put us on the coast of France!
June 6, 1944. The North Shore Regiment landed on the coast of France at Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer and fought on that summer in Normandy in bloody battles at Carpiquet, Caen, and Falaise. By the end of the Normandy campaign, the North Shore would lose 210 soldiers killed in action, with hundreds more wounded. However, in August 1944, the German army collapsed and was in full retreat towards the German border. Paris was liberated. The Allies were racing to catch up with the retreating Germans across France. City after city was liberated along the Channel coast of France by the North Shores and the Canadian Army, silencing the big guns that fired over the Channel at English cities for years. There was a sense that the war would be over in 1944, and in time for the boys to come home for Christmas. This hope was crushed in September 1944 with the failure of Operation Market Garden, the largest airborne operation of all time. The Germans were able to recover, dig in, and hold the front line at the German border. With the war looking to drag on into 1945, the Allies were in need of a port to supply the armies and prepare for the inevitable final offensive in the spring to end the war. That port was Antwerp, the biggest of its kind in Western Europe. The problem was that Antwerp was down a river 80 kilometers from the sea, and both sides of the river were occupied by the Germans. As long as the Germans held this ground, the port couldn't be used and the Allied advance would be at a standstill. The Canadian Army was given the job of pushing the Germans from the area, but this would not be an easy task. The land is flat and below sea level. And to make the battle tougher, the Germans blew up the dams holding back the sea and flooding the fields, making the area only accessible on a few main roads. The Battle of the Scheldt, as it will be known, will be a wet, muddy, and determined fight under the worst circumstances.
Sheer misery, the Scheldt was the worst we had seen yet. There was hardly a dry piece of land to stand on. With soggy, wet clothes, you splashed around in mud to your ankles. There was no chance of finding a dry cellar or barn left standing. The fighting sometimes came to hand contact with hand grenades and bayonets.
Got bitches there! Margaret, take care of them! Everyone, keep moving! Let's go! You're my prisoner, you understand? Your fingers! I take it you're not from around these parts. Sprechen die English?
Nein.
Parlez-vous français?
Un peu.
Great. Now we're talking English, French, and German. Oh, God. Listen here, Fritz. That's what I'm gonna call you. You wanna know why? Because I don't wanna know your name. You're the enemy, you understand? That's all I need to know. Enemy, what's that in French? Ennemi. Damn, it's the same in French.
Fiend.
Yeah, fiend. Hey, what do you got there?
My family.
Good-looking wife, Fritz. Good-looking kids, too. Nice Kinder.
Danke.
Swapping photos, huh? This is all I've got.
Ihre Frau? Femme?
Nah, not my femme. Faye Emerson. Big American actress, movie star, big.
Ah, große.
Ah, yeah. You see, that little parcel's adopted our regiment to be her unit. Kind of like adopting me. I guess that makes me kind of her son. Though I'd like to be more, huh? Guess that suffers in translation. You're getting closer.
Not good.
Good!
Good.
Not good! Not good!
Those are the new orders?
Yeah. It says we're supposed to send the prisoners to the back line.
Hey, don't drink all the water there, Fritz.
Wasser.
Wasser. Hey, my German isn't that bad.
You know, we are not so different, you and I.
How so?
We need food and water. We have families back home, jobs.
We're soldiers.
Yes, soldiers. We fight for our countries.
You're right, to a certain point, but the line gets drawn at soldiers. We may be fighting for our countries, but it's what our countries stand for and believe in that set us apart, Fritz.
You are right. I am not political. I am doing my duty for my fatherland, to protect my family.
You know something else we have in common, Fritz? We both hate this war.
Yes, I am tired. I want to go home.
Me too.
Okay, Magareth. We're moving up. The prisoners are being sent back to the landing site. Your buddy here has to go.
Nein, I stay. Ich werde bleiben und helfen. Bis der Krieg vorbei ist.
He says he wants to stay here and help us until the war is over.
Ich werde ein Kanadisch anheitelig.
He says he wants a Canadian uniform.
Und mich deiner Armee anschließen.
And
I know. Join the Canadian Army.
Sorry, pal. No dice. Let's go.
auf geht's.
Move it!
Far from home, the North Shore settled in for their fourth Christmas in Europe at the city of Nijmegen. Though still at the front, the war had settled down in this sector for the winter. The men were billeted in local Dutch homes, and many for the first time since D-Day slept on a bed and had a warm bath. Many received Christmas packages from loved ones at home. With the war seeming so close to finally ending, many hoped and prayed that they would live to see next Christmas and and get to enjoy it at home with family and friends. What they didn't know was that the war still had 5 months to go, and many more would be killed before it would end.
Quite nice. Yup.
Yeah?
Quiet. Yep.
Quiet, all right. Just another Christmas Eve on the continent. Dear Mother, I think that I shall spend this Christmas Eve on the continent. Oh, the weather in Holland is ever so charming this time.
I'm sending home this postcard of the latrine. Sums up my feelings about this war.
You know what they say? A picture is worth 1,000 words.
That's a lot of words to fit in a picture. Would you guys shut up? It's Christmas. For once, I'd like to listen to something other than artillery shells and your foolishness.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah. You know, if I was home right now, the whole family would be getting together. Mom would spend the whole day in the kitchen, making ham, and turkey, and mashed potatoes.
Stuffing. Cranberry sauce. Asparagus.
What? I like asparagus.
I ain't eating no asparagus. Your mother can't make me.
Oh, who says she's making it?
I'm just saying.
It's okay, Harry. You could have your asparagus.
Yeah, eat your vegetables there, Harry, baby.
Apple pie.
Rum punch.
Hey, light on the punch.
Yep. A feast fit for a king. And that wasn't even the Christmas dinner yet. Do you guys hear that?
What is that? It's Silent Night.
I'll be damned.
Mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace.
I'll be damned.
Picked them right off on Christmas Eve. What a dirty meat trick. Stupid jerks.
My heart sank when I was told we couldn't have midnight mass. They expected a German counterattack, so every man had to hold his position. But counterattack or no counterattack, we were determined to have a Christmas dinner. And a Christmas dinner we had. As luck would have it, a few days before Christmas, 2 large Dutch geese walked, or so I am told, right into the doctor's dugout. Being so near Christmas, the doctor diagnosed exhaustion. There was no shell shock in this war, not even for geese. As was the custom, the doctor prescribed a trip down the line for the 2 birds. But the poor innocent things couldn't guess that the trip down the line was to end up in Mother Superior's roasting pan at a convent I knew of some 30 miles back. Next morning, with a goose under each arm, I sat by Fred as he piloted our Jeep over the bumpy roads to the accompaniment of flying feathers and a duet of anserine indignation that finally set me thinking. Now what, I thought, if we hit a mine, or if a moaning Minnie came over and got us? Just how would an army chaplain look appearing before St. Peter with a stolen goose under each arm? But then something told me that the word stolen was never found in the Army dictionary. Liberated was the word. Ah, that was it. They were liberated geese. My conscience quieted down, but the two geese seemed to protest all the louder, and feathers seemed to fly all the faster. Never did I enjoy a meal like that Christmas dinner.
Hey! How many R's are in Mary?
One. No, two, I think.
Well, which one is it?
Two. It's two, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think that's gonna look right.
How do you know it's gonna look right if you don't even know how to spell it?
Well, look, it's Christmas, and I want to add to the festivities. It's not gonna look too good if we screw up the greeting.
But look around here. Half these guys don't know how to spell Mary, and the other half can't even read.
Regardless, I want this to look right.
How many R's are in regardless?
Very funny. I don't know, but there's one in Mary, and that's how I'm gonna write it.
Fine, bud. Have it your way. You spelled Christmas with an X, but you're worried about how many R's are in Mary.
It almost spoiled my appetite to see my old pupil Bud win the argument and settle it with one R. But even Merry Xmas looked all right there. There was a great family spirit in the front line, and strange. The neighbors all seemed to drop in just around mealtime. But they were always welcome, especially when they brought something with them, like Captain McElwain with his bottle of champagne that day, or Clancy with his box of chocolates, and all the others with a piece of fruitcake or something from home.
Now bless the Christmas dinner, Father.
And that I did, sending it all in the direction of the two geese that were sitting there, attracting the attention of all of us gathered around the wobbly table.
Don't know who needs the blessing most, us or the geese?
Smiles all around as we set to work without any apparent misgivings or qualms of conscience.
It is February 1945, and the Allies are on the move again. The objective is to advance into Germany and cross the Rhine River into the Netherlands. The fighting would be bitter, as it is the first time the Germans are fighting on their own ground and would fight to the last bullet to stop the Allies. This was hoped to be the final battle that would end the war and bring peace to a weary world.
There's a Hell's Corner around every bend in Europe. Every unit in action went through one. Capellen was ours. Here the Germans took their last fanatical stand on this side of the Rhine.
Men, I can't let you go without saying good luck.
This is going to be bad. The worst yet.
But we will do it. We will accomplish our mission. Some of you will make it. And I know each of you will do your best. Good luck. Let's move out! On me!
At daybreak on February the 8th, the earth began to tremble. Our artillery had opened up and the big push was on. Our first task was to take the towns of Zanpal and Gerketen along the Waal River. Just as we were ready to attack, the Germans blew the dikes and flooded the whole area. A Company was the first to start off. The going was tough, and to make it tougher, their wireless outfit broke down. B Company followed, and we attacked Zanpol. When night fell, we had the place and 80 prisoners. But 10 of our men were dead and a dozen wounded. Among the dead was Lieutenant Lewis Walsh of Chatham. Another of my former pupils at St. Thomas College was Lewis. One of the 40 of them who gave their lives in this war. As I wrapped his blanket around him for burial that night, in memory, I was scolding the blue-eyed mischief maker of the class. But I wakened from my daydream to find myself saying the Requiem Aeternam over him on the banks of the Rhine. When I wrote to his family, as I did with every man I buried, I was able to tell them that Lewis had died prepared. For that morning, with all the others, he knelt and received Holy Communion before going into action.
Hello, you boys of the North Shore Regiment, so far away from home across the Atlantic. You're wondering if we are coming. Well, don't worry, we are. You will wither in the face of German superiority. Surrender now. Such waste. Such loss. How your families must miss you. Here's a fine German song that I know you handsome young Canadians will like. It's called Lily Marlene.
Underneath the lantern by the barricade, darling, I remember the way you used to wait. 'Twas there that you whispered tenderly that you loved me.
How you must miss your girls back home. I hope they miss you. You've been gone so long. It's so easy for them to forget. Out of sight, out of mind. How lonely you must feel. Well, don't worry. Mary is here.
Turn it off! For God's sake, turn it off!
Come on, I like her music.
Yeah, the music's fine. I just can't keep listening to her. Trying to get us to give up, to surrender, to just leave. I can't keep listening to it.
Yeah, she really starts to get to you.
That voice. Boy, will we get to Arnhem.
If?
When?
Well, I hope she's there. I'd like to meet her.
Get real. You wouldn't know what to do even if you did meet her.
Hey, I'm a quick learner.
Well, I wish she'd shut up. Gets on my nerves. Playing all that good music, coming out all sweet and friendly. Trying to get into our heads.
Yeah, she really does get you thinking.
It's propaganda, that's all it is.
Propaganda?
Well, the Germans will do anything to get to us. Including using some sweet-talking dame on the radio. To play head games with us. Well, I don't care. I miss home. I miss my family, and I know they miss me. I don't need her to tell me that. But there's no way she's going to convince me that all this is hopeless. Or that we should give up. No, sir. Every road and field we've traveled from Normandy to here is wet with the blood of too many of our buddies for us to give up now. Besides, if we give up, what happens then? Will we ever get to go home? And if we do, what'll home even be?
Speaking German and eating Wiener Schnitzel?
Yeah, that's funny. Well, this has to be for something, doesn't it? Well, doesn't it?
Thank you for everything you are doing for me, and my people, and my country. Thank you.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah. You're right.
Let Arnhem Mary squawk all she wants on that thing.
As long as she keeps playing Chattanooga Choo-Choo.
Just one more reason to prove her wrong.
You know, I'd still like to meet her, though. Hey, I'm kidding.
I'm sorry, boys. You didn't get to go home for Christmas as Churchill and Montgomery promised you. Good night, boys. Take care of yourselves.
April 1945. The liberation of the Netherlands begins. The Dutch, who had been under German occupation since 1940, are yearning for their liberation. Over the past winter, the Germans, desperate to feed its army, took food from the Dutch people. This would be known as the Hunger Winter, and as many as 25,000 Dutch died from starvation. The fighting never lessened its intensity, and the casualties mounted. Many men of the North Shore at this point had fought from the beaches of Normandy through France, Belgium, and Germany, and now, in the Netherlands, with only a few weeks left in the war, no one wanted their luck to run out. No one wanted to be the last soldier killed in the war.
Come on, get up. Let's go. Go away, will you? I'm trying to sleep. Hey, look, I snuffed this burn carrier belonging to another outfit.
Are you crazy?
Oh, don't worry, it's not the North Shores. We won't get caught. Edmund? Come on, we'll go in the middle of that field they're shelling and just drink it. Nobody will follow us. Come on. All right.
But if we get caught, you're taking the fall.
Come on. Hey, relax, will ya? It's only the good guys that get killed. Oh. Yeah. Oh. That's some strong stuff. Hey, what's that song? If it wasn't for the old North Shore, where would Shoreham be? They shot Fred! Edmund, we've been buddies since kindergarten. See, what did I tell you? It's only the good guys who get killed.
Easter Sunday came around. I had completely forgotten about Holy Week, but on Easter morning, we stopped in a small German village. Across the road, I spied what was, up till lately, a German beer parlor.
You want to hold Mass at a German beer hall?
Sure. Why not? I've held Mass in almost every conceivable type of place. Why not complete it by saying Mass in a German beer parlor?
Oh, belly up to the bar, boys! What we got after doing a beer around here?
Round drinks for my chums.
Bartender, where's mine?
How are you going to order beer from a German bartender when you don't parley-vous the language?
Yeah, eins Eicherstanzen Lagerbier. What? You're around here long enough, you pick up a few things. I ain't just another pretty face, you know.
Come on, guys. Are you guys completely show-shocked? The Padres will have Mass here. Yeah, you guys are getting no beer.
I was hoping for some of that sacrificial wine.
Sacramental wine.
Yeah, that too.
And so I set up my little altar on the counter. Empty beer kegs served as pews, and there, in that odd setting where, no doubt only a few days ago, fanatical Nazis drank to Hitler's health, I now stood and offered the holy sacrifice of the Mass. At this point, our line of advance brought us back into Holland. It was almost like coming home. The tulips, great fields of them, waved a sea of colors, and rows of wooden shoes clattered a welcome to the Soldaten Canadiesen.
Excuse me, miss. Are you okay? Miss?
Oh, forgive me for jumping, but you startled me.
Oh no, it's my fault. I was just asking if you're all right. Do you mind if I sit down?
You are a soldaten Canadese?
And you're a Dutch.
Yes.
So, this is your home? In Nijmegen?
Nijmegen.
Oh, Nijmegen. So, you have family here?
Yes, I live with my parents.
Oh, winters must be cold here, aren't they? Of course, not as bad as the winters up home.
In Canada?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it gets so cold up there, you can freeze the oh. I'm sorry. I'm from Hamilton. Ontario? Cold or not, can't wait to get back. Look, you seem upset. I'm a good listener.
It's just been so difficult for my family, for my people. Every day has been a struggle to find food. The Germans took everything. Children go hungry. Some have died. Ugh. We are a proud people, but pride does not feed hungry mouths or keep one warm in the winter. We had almost given up hope. The one thing you must never lose. Almost. And then you came, Soldaten Canadesen, and you gave us back our hope. But it is still difficult. The Germans may be gone from Nijmegen, but they have left their mark.
I'm glad you didn't give up hope. See, I know what it's like to almost lose hope. It's been a long road from Normandy to Nijmegen. This war has shown me things no man should ever see. Death. I've seen a lot of guys die. Some of them friends. I've seen what the Germans have done to people like you and your family. Anyways, stay positive. The Germans are on the run, and the war will be over soon. It has to be. You know what? Here, this is for you.
Oh, Canadian chocolate. Oh no, I couldn't. Oh, it's yours.
No, I insist. Please. As a matter of fact, here, take these. Take them home to your family.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to say anything. Just take it home to your folks.
I'm sorry. I just realized I don't even know your name.
Thomas. Thomas Gemmel.
Thank you, Thomas Gemmel. I'm Betsy. Betsy Hutnick.
Well, you're very welcome, Betsy Hutnick. Well, I'd better get going.
Thomas?
Tom.
Tom, please, could you not stay a while longer? My parents would love to meet you, to thank you for this gift.
Oh. Well, we are going to be stationed here for a while. So, sure, I'd love to. Dear Betsy,
Dear Tom,
I hope all is well.
I hope you are safe.
My unit's been moving around a lot recently. I wish I could tell you more, but everything is so top secret.
Mother and Father are doing well, and send their regards. They feel as though you are part of our family now.
I really miss you and your folks. I hope you're getting by okay. What without my chocolate bars and all.
Canadian soldiers came through the other day and brought supplies for us. It was like Christmas.
Gemmel, go bring the Jeep around.
Yes, sir. Well, I've got to get back to the war. Stay safe. I hope to see you again soon. Tom.
Betsy, come finish your chores.
Coming, Papa. I have to get back to my chores. I wish I could write more. Stay safe. I miss you, Betsy.
Love, Betsy.
Love, Tom.
She loves me.
Yeah, that's great, pal.
He loves me.
Hey, I'm just the messenger.
These are my letters. Deceased.
Dear Mrs. Hootnick, in response to your letter of inquiry, it is with great sadness that I inform you of the death of Private Thomas Mitchell Gemmel. Private Gemmel was killed in the town of Capella in Germany. After parking a jeep, Private Gemmel was walking near Company HQ when he was wounded by an exploding shell. He was immediately transported to Regimental Aid Post, but died on the way. Private Gemmel was a good soldier, who was respected by all his comrades. Although only 21 years of age, he brought a great maturity to all his actions, and his absence from our ranks will be keenly felt. Again, my deepest sympathies at this time. On June 15th, 1945, Betsy wrote a letter to Tom's family describing the close relationship that had developed between Tom and her family.
Once a week, I visit Tom's grave to tend to the flowers and spend time with him. It's only an 8-mile walk. I'm sending you some photos I took of his grave with the tulips in bloom.
After the war, in 1946, Tom's father, Matthew, at age 65, sold his farm and traveled to the Netherlands to stay with the Hootnick family. Upon returning to Canada, he made arrangements for Betsy to come to Canada as well, which she did.
The Germans stole our food, the Canadians our hearts. I will never forget the sacrifices they made so that we could be free. I will never forget his sacrifice.
We could feel it in our bones, and it was something more than hopeful thinking put it there. The Germans were on the run, and they knew that if they kept on running, they would soon land up in Hitler's backyard, only to find a bunch of Russian bears eating their porridge. On the 19th, we found the Zuyder Zee lazing in an April sun in the town of Sneck, the prettiest jewel along that horseshoe of encircled blue, in holiday mood, with thousands of white bonnets flapping and wooden shoes tapping a welcome and appreciation to their liberty. But Brigadier Roberts didn't give us much time to listen to wooden shoes. We were sent on to clear the town of Macon, which we did, feeling now that these Germans were nothing more than a darned nuisance. We rounded up 200 prisoners, asked if they knew the Russians were in Berlin. They admitted they did. They said nothing when one fellow showed them a paper containing pictures of atrocities in German concentration camps. They said they knew the end of the war was near, and that they were glad of it. Said one of our lads.
And now we're going on to Berlin to get Hitler and the others. We'll roll them up in quicklime and fry them up like we do spring herring back home.
Too bad to waste a quicklime.
By the look on their faces, I think the prisoners believed it.
Father? Father!
Apologies, my son. You caught me in a moment of quiet reflection.
No need to apologize. I don't think there's a man in this godforsaken place who, sorry, Father, who in quiet moments like this doesn't get lost in their own thoughts.
Oh, Scuttlebutt can have that effect on the idle mind, although the mind doesn't get much of a chance to rest with the sounds of bullets and exploding shells as a constant companion.
Well, they may just be rumors. They have been before.
And they may be true. And if it is true, if we are just waiting for the official word that, dare I say it, the war is over, then it is no surprise that a young man's fancy might turn to memories of happier times and of home.
Is that what you're thinking about, Father? Home?
Yes, home.
Everything is prepared for Mass, Father.
Thank you, son. Actually, sitting here, preparing for what might very well be my last Mass of the war, I was thinking of my first open-air Mass, so long ago in Woodstock. With a few boards, we built an altar, covered it with army blankets and white sheets. It has to be very calm not to blow out a candle in open air. It was calm that morning. Novelty was printed on everything. As I started to vast, the tramp, tramp, tramp of 1,000 feet broke the morning stillness. Closer they came, until each company commander in turn shouted, "Company, shun!" And like a rifle shot, feet clicked to a stop, and then a little shuffle for position, and they froze like statues.
Dear Mr. Kavanaugh,
Dear Mrs. Sitford,
Dear Mrs. Beers,
Dear Mrs. Gray,
Dear Mrs. Cleveland,
Dear Mrs. Bass,
My dear Mrs. Keel,
Dear Mrs. Staley.
What a picture. There they were, lined up like little boy Blue lines up his soldiers on the floor. Rows and rows of them, as silent and attentive as if they were carved from oak.
it is with great sorrow that I offer condolences to you at this time over the loss of your son. He was a friend to every man in the regiment, and his death was a great loss to us.
it is with a genuine sense of sorrow that I write this letter to sympathize with you in the loss of your son. I would like to convey, on the part of the company and myself, our sincere sympathy in the death of your son.
By this time, you are probably aware of the death of your son.
no doubt you have received the sad news of your son from official sources.
It has now become official that your son was killed in a recent action in which this regiment participated. As your son was serving under me at the time he was killed, I feel it is my duty to write to you and explain how it happened.
I remember another open-air Mass in the quiet little French village of Bournville. It was in an apple orchard. I gave general absolution, started giving Holy Communion to the long line that came up and knelt on the grass.
I had not known him for more than a few weeks. During that short time, I easily learned of his reputation amongst his friends as a good fellow and a man who could be depended upon.
A fit of sadness gripped me. Where were the old familiar faces? Few of them were there. They had gone forever. Others had taken their places.
As a soldier, he was not found lacking, for he did a heavy and hard job, and he did it well.
Right then, too, I noticed the awful strain of war.
He was one of many men in the army because of their sense of duty. He did not fall down in this respect.
As each boy turned his face to me, I noticed the sunken eyes, the pale, drawn face. I finished Mass with a heavy heart.
We were subjected to heavy shelling. 4 of my boys got wounded, including your son, who seemed to have gotten the worst of it.
He was killed by rifle fire, along with many of his comrades.
The circumstances under which your son's death occurred were very ordinary. The company was pinned down by machine gun and shell fire, suffering many casualties.
Your son was killed by a sniper as he was going across an open field.
He was in some of the toughest fighting this battalion has ever seen, and the only consolation I can offer is that he was killed instantly.
Your son was killed very suddenly, and our medical officer told me that he could have felt no pain.
I once thought of Hitler, standing high atop the hill in Woodstock, catching a glimpse of the exhibition ground, of the ragtag, green behind the ears boys, men of the North Shore Regiment, and imagined what he would have said if someone had said to him, "That outfit down there will help beat you someday."
He was doing a man's job, and doing it well. He was found to be a big asset to our platoon.
Your son was well liked and admired for his outstanding courageousness and his good nature.
His disposition was bright and cheerful, no matter the work at hand.
He was regarded by the newer men of the company as a good, sound chap, and someone they could always go to for advice on any matters that sometimes stump a new soldier.
Your son was one of my best Bren gunners, a job which he performed like a good soldier.
Your son had a lot of very good friends in the platoon, and his death was deeply felt by us all.
The boys in his platoon and myself feel his passing very keenly. His devotion to duty was unsurpassed by any, and his ready good humor was a source of morale boosting for the whole platoon.
I thought old Adolf would have sat down and laughed himself to death right there. But I have no doubt now, as I sit here next to you, that he would have been in awe of these men, as am I, and that the look on his face would have been one of fear and dread.
His courage and devotion to duty will long remain in our minds and help us to carry on the fight that will someday soon bring final victory.
Your son died valiantly, as many more have done in this conflict. But to you, it is a greater bereavement coming as it did to me, when most of us realize the struggle is almost over.
He was buried in the presence of a clergyman.
I buried so many,
He now lies buried in a Canadian cemetery.
so very many.
Needless to say, he will be deeply missed by the rest of his chums, and they, as well as myself, send deepest sympathy to you and yours.
You have lost a son, and our regiment has lost a soldier that, to my mind, can never be replaced.
These, before all others, are the most difficult letters I have to write, for I realize that they are so little in return for the lives of loved ones. We who are left with the memory of our fallen comrades are even more resolved to finish this horror as quickly as possible.
There is little else to tell you.
Such a long road from the pebbled shores of Normandy to these waterlogged, blood-soaked fields. Such devastation, such loss.
In your sorrow, remember that you always have good cause to be proud of your son.
If there is anything I can do for you, I shall only be too glad to do so.
If you desire more information concerning your son's death, I will be only happy to do all that is possible.
May I express the heartfelt sympathy of his comrades.
May I express on behalf of his comrades our deepest condolences.
Please accept our sincerest sympathy in your loss.
Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine. Eternal rest grant to them, O Lord. God, Father of mercies, through the death and resurrection of his Son, has reconciled the world to him and sent the Holy Spirit among us.
War's over. The war! The war's over! One of the tank crews picked up the news on the wireless.
The war? Over. What do you know about that?
Strike me up a gum tree.
I can hardly believe it. Well, I guess that's that, eh, Father?
Seems so, my son.
It's over.
We can go home.
Clean clothes. Apple pie. Sleeping in.
What about the girls?
And the girls!
Father.
Sit down, my son.
You said if we couldn't write, that you would write for us?
Of course.
Any kind of letter?
Yes, of course.
Could you write me a love letter?
It was one evening during the Battle of Carpiquet, as I was burying that day's dead. I knelt down by a body to cut off the identification bit. Something struck me. Lad, I'm master at love letters. Sunday, August 18th, 1939. There. Now you tell me what you want to say, and I'll write it down word for word.
Dear Mary, I love you. I love you.
Yes, I have that. Now, how much?
I love you.
I looked again at the lifeless face. There he was. The boy who had me write that love letter way back home in Woodstock, New Brunswick.
Well, I love you as much as I love the Lord.
Very nice, my boy. I lowered him into his rough and narrow grave, and as I whispered the Requiem Aetem, the voice from the past kept saying,
Dear Mary, dear Mary.
And later, when I wrote to his wife to tell her I prepared her husband for death and buried him, that same voice from the past awoke and said,
I love you. I love you as much as...
To all in the Army, Navy, and Air Force who went out to meet the Scarlet Dawn, but especially to those for whom that dawn was the evening of their lives. May the angels lead thee into paradise. May the martyrs receive thee at thy coming and lead thee to the holy city of Jerusalem. May the choirs of angels receive thee, and mayest thou have eternal rest.
We lost the man who didn't give a damn. We lost our two ICs. The company commanders are all gone now with the pick of the mare machine. Promotions have been fast and furious at times. The cause is very plain to see. The jobs have been done by the old North Shore, living history. But don't worry about the old North Shore. Her flag is still flying high. The boss has tested her at Carpa K, and since then he's been shy. The job they had to clean up at La Treasury has quieted old mighty shore. If they stopped at that and never worked again, they'd have done their chore. But Monty wanted Antwerp, and he wanted it fast. Said Ike, let's clear the Scheldt. Now who's the chaps are gonna do the job? The L for Spry was spelled. So sure enough, and then in record time, the 7th, 8th, and 9 cut loose. And before the Bosch could swing around, the 8 had cooked his goose. Well, we crossed a lot of country, seen a lot of towns, but Ghent was the best one yet. Brussels wasn't bad, and then there's Gay Paris. Our lads came back without a cent. This Nijmegen job is just monotony. They're spoiling for a scrap. They cut the string and turn the North Shore loose. They'll go clean off the map. So rally, watch the remnants of the old North Shore. You've got some good chaps yet. They'll never let you down or ever quit a job. On this we'll lay our net. And when the stick is over and the lads are home, and songs are sung of days of yore, at the top of the list with the favorites, you'll find the old North Shore. At the top of the list with the favorites, you'll find the old North Shore.
The Old North Shore never died and continues to be a very active part of the Canadian military.
Here now are some words from the current commander of the North Shore Regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Ray Dufour.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Renald Dufour, Commanding Officer of the North Shore, New Brunswick Regiment. I'm currently standing here in Coronation Park, Battersea, in front of the memorial to the North Shore, New Brunswick Regiment soldiers. Just like hundreds of memorials across the country, this memorial is meant to make sure that we commemorate and remember the sacrifices of those who fought for our freedom as Canadians. If you look at the history of Canada, it is relatively young by international standards, but yet our military history and heritage is impressive. More than 2.3 million Canadians fought for Canada, with 118,000 paying the ultimate sacrifice. If we look at the First World War alone, we had 650,000 Canadians who went overseas to fight in Europe, out of a population of 8 million. Essentially, that represented 1 out of every 3 men. Of that number, 172,000 of them were wounded, and 66,000 paid the ultimate sacrifice. Roll forward to the Second World War. More than 1.1 million Canadians went out of a population of 11 million. That is about 1 out of every 4 men and women. Once again, an important contribution. This time, 45,000 were killed in action, with 55,000 more wounded. On the 11th of November 2020, I invite you to commemorate and remember the sacrifices of the veterans. As a result of the pandemic, we have to do things differently. This short video is our way of making sure that we cannot forget about what they've done. And we invite you to remember it in your own way, the sacrifices of men and women who served Canada on the 11th of November. We will not forget them, we will remember them.
Over the years, our school and district has worked very closely with our Dutch friends over our shared common history.
Here are a few words from our Dutch friends across the sea.
Hello everybody, my name is Maurits Kammer and I teach history at Canisius Almelo-Tubbergen, which is in the eastern part of the Netherlands. Together with Mrs. Savage, we have been working on several projects about the Second World War. Main theme is the liberation of our country, which we still think is very important to teach about. Freedom is something we should not take for granted. Just like this glass of water, it seems clean, natural, healthy, cheap. But like freedom, we should realize it's important to know that we can't take it for granted. Like 75 years ago, our country was occupied and we lost that precious freedom, which we took for granted so much. Thanks to your grandparents, we retrieved that freedom, and we're still today very grateful for that. Every Christmas Eve in Holton at Canadian War Cemetery, students come together and put small candles on graves, and the looks are fabulous every evening. On the 4th and 5th of May, we also still remember our freedom, which we gained thanks to your liberators, your grandparents. On this Remembrance Day, I'm very pleased to say hello and also thank you to you all.
Over 100 years ago, Colonel John McCrae, a physician serving on the front lines of the Battle of Ypres, war-weary and having just buried a friend, wrote a poem entitled In Flanders Fields.
There is perhaps no poem which better speaks of the sacrifice of men and women in war and the need for the living to remember them.
In Flanders fields, the poppies grow, between the crosses, row on row,
that mark our place, and in the sky,
the lark still bravely singing, fly,
scarce heard amid the guns below.
We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields.
So take up our quarrel with the foe.
To you, from failing hands we throw.
The torch be yours to hold it high.
If ye break faith with us who die.
We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
We will now commence our wreath-laying ceremony. On behalf of Student Council, Jillian Kennedy will lay a wreath in honor of those who have fought for freedom. Mr. Brett Cameron will lay a wreath on behalf of MVHS staff.
Jansen Blackear will lay a wreath on behalf of the Legion.
Lieutenant Colonel Ray DeFore will lay a wreath on behalf of the North Shore Regiment.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we shall remember them.
Please stand for the playing of the last post and remain standing for the moment of silence and then the playing of Reveille.
We hope that the message we have shared today will stay with you.
That you will make the choice to remember the bravery, courage, and sacrifice.
That you will remember.
This concludes our ceremony.
Some communities will be streaming virtual ceremonies this Wednesday, November 11th. We encourage you to watch them.
You may also choose to watch the National Remembrance Day service on CBC.
Please take time to reflect and remember.
Oh, please don't take away the old North Shore. We'll need them by and by. Everybody in the old North Shore is willing to do or die. Now what I mean to say is that the old North Shore is second to the Navy on the sea. And if it wasn't for the old North Shore, where would Shoreham be? Have you ever heard the story of the old North Shore? If not, it's time you did. Some songs sell for 2 and 6. Well, this tune's worth half a quid. It's been sung in every pub along the whole south coast by ATS, Wasps and Wrens as well. Why, it's even reached our shores and they're waiting there for more. So raise your voice and yell. We've been here for 2 years or more. No fighting have we seen. Though we came to fight for right, for honor and liberty. But soon the day will come, a second front we'll see. Our bitter foe will vanish like the dawn. And though our hearts are fine and keep the old flag flying, the North Shore carries on. There's no need to worry about the old North Shore, her flag still flying high. With 6 months drilling on the barrack square, morale is none too high. We all love the Army, and PT is swell. Monotony will never get us down. But give us just one chance, put us on the coast of France, and watch the North Shores go to town. Our CO is a man who doesn't give a damn, and neither does our 2 ICs. The company commanders are hand-picked men. They come from the Miramichi. The 2 ICs of all the rifle companies, they never do a gosh damn thing. And if it wasn't for their NCOs and subalterns, where would the North Shore be? So please don't take away the old North Shore. We'll need them by and by. Everybody in the old North Shore is willing to do or die. Now what I can say is that the old North Shore is second to the Navy on the sea. And if it wasn't for the old North Shore, where would Shoreham be? It wasn't for the old North Shore.